evening. Good evening.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the channel Modern Renaissance Man. I am Ty Smith. Appreciate you guys taking time out of your day to view my content. If you do enjoy the content that I put out, make sure you hit that like button, the thumbs up, so that this video can be circulated within the YouTube algorithm and so that this video like this can be consistently recommended to you. Don't forget, I'm also on these platforms you see above and below. And last but not least, double check to make sure that you are subscribed to the channel, because people that are subscribed to the channel have been unsubscribed for mysterious reasons. Anyway, guys, we got to talk about this because Kamala Harris running mate, Mr. Tim Walz, Walz, he is not doing too well when it comes to his record. Supposedly he served in the military, but there are some things that just don't add up when it comes to those who served with him. In fact, JD Vance, VP pick for President Trump, has referred to him as stolen valor. Why is that? Why is this going on like this? Is this the reason why he got elected? And if it is, did they not search his background or anything like that? Now, don't get me wrong, folks. Anybody that's serving in the military, hats off to them. You want to, you thank them for their service. But in this case, yeah, you thank him, but why pump up the record like he did? Why make yourself way more than what you claim to be, knowing that you had fellow soldiers who were there with you and can call you out on the BS? For example, check this out.
America, for some folks, they're just getting to know Coach Walz's story. He is a veteran who served our nation in uniform for more than 2 decades as a member of the Army National Guard.
For 24 years, I proudly wore the uniform of this nation. The National Guard gave me purpose. It gave me the strength of a shared commitment to something greater than ourselves.
And as the Harris campaign highlights Walz's military service, well, they left out a major detail. When his battalion deployed to Iraq in 2006, he wasn't with them. He retired. He said he wanted to run for Congress. But some of the men serving in his battalion say he abandoned them and only retired once he found out they were getting deployed. Now, when he was asked about it late today, well, Walz adopted Kamala's MO and simply refused to answer the question.
Governor, Vance accused you of stolen valor. Your response? Governor!
Joining me now is Thomas Behrends, retired Command Sergeant Major for the Minnesota National Guard. Thomas, good to have you with us tonight. Now, JD Vance is saying this is a case of stolen valor. He obviously served in the Marine Corps in active duty. What is your take on this? Is this just, a casual mistake? Is this something far darker?
That's way far darker than a lot of people think. I mean, it is stolen valor. He's used the rank that he never achieved in order to advance his political career. He's done it for decades now, basically. I mean, maybe not decades, but damn close to it. I mean, he still says he's a retired Command Sergeant Major to this day, and he's not. He uses his rank of others to make it look like he's a better person than he is. He still does it even, just however long ago.
Well, to that point, just so everyone understands what we're talking about here, on his biography, on his campaign website, and even on the Minnesota website, it lists him, Governor Walz, as a retired Command Sergeant Major. And his governor's bio says the same thing. It even says that is the rank he retired at. I mean, that's just a fact. You did or didn't. But again, the Minnesota National Guard told the Angle he retired as a Master Sergeant. Now, for people who don't have any military background, they might think, oh, Command, Sergeant Major, Master Sergeant. Why is that such a big deal? Tell us why that's such a big deal.
Well, it's a big deal for the simple fact that in order to, when you get conditionally promoted to command sergeant major or sergeant major, you're signing a document that states that you will complete the United States Army Sergeant Major's Academy, which is technically a 2-year course, 2-year college course almost. And if you don't complete that, you don't get the rank. So you basically get reduced. It's conditional. You get pinned with E9, but then it gets taken away from you when you either quit or you end up having don't complete the course. So what he did basically was he quit. He didn't complete that condition, and he didn't complete the condition of doing 2 years after graduation. So he gets reduced to a master sergeant, and that's what he is right now, as a retired master sergeant.
Well, I think the issue here is that in some of the statements that were published and some of the comments that were made, when you say you were deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, it indicates to people something. And the implication is you were deployed in, I guess, Iraq or Afghanistan. And that's what most people think. And maybe it's something that's just wrong, but that's what a lot of people think. But how long did your unit spend in Iraq, and what was it like when you were there? Because, again, for people who believe that he was deployed in Iraq, people should understand what that was like.
Well, going back on what you said, I mean, technically in the old days, Operation Enduring Freedom was Afghanistan, and Operation Iraqi Freedom was Iraq. And he spun this, where we were in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, and the people in the unit that he was at in Italy were, supposedly going to get deployed to Afghanistan. I mean, there's documents out there that state some of those lies. And the 173rd Airborne was in Italy. That's their base, home base, and they actually air assault, or they parachuted into Iraq at that time. So I mean, his spin was a lie then, but back then, some of the party would basically say that they wanted to, Afghanistan was like the real war, and Iraq wasn't. So if you're in support of Enduring Freedom, you were in the war you should be in, and Iraqi freedom was kind of Bush's war. But that's how that all unfolded. Well, when we ended up in Iraq, I mean, we trained for 6 months, and then we ended up going overseas. We're supposed to be in Iraq for a year, and then we got extended and did the whole surge, and we were there for 6 more months. 17 months total.
Yeah, 2006 I was there in February of 2006 just for 2 weeks, and it was getting very real and extremely, extremely dangerous. I know so many men were lost, and you were there. He also made a comment about going to war, which, again, the implication being, well, what it was for most people. Listen.
I spent 25 years in the Army, and I hunt. And I gave the money back, and I'll tell you what I have been doing. I've been voting for common sense legislation that protects the Second Amendment, but we can do background checks. We can do CDC research. We can make sure we don't have reciprocal carry among states, and we can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war is the only place where those weapons are at.
Now, Thomas, weapons of war that I carried in war.
Right.
Again, what does that mean to most people? I mean, in language matters.
To most people, that would mean that he was actually in combat, carrying a weapon in a combat zone and getting combat pay, and in a dangerous hostile environment where he was getting shot at. I mean, if he thinks Italy was a combat zone or a war zone and he was carrying that in war, he's delusional. I mean, that was all said, just like him saying he was a command sergeant major, just another way to embellish his career beyond what it was, stolen valor for the people that actually were in war, and he's acting like he was in war. Well, yeah, he carried an M16 back when we were in, I don't know, maybe he never even had the thing out of the supply room in Italy. I would really doubt if he ever did. I don't think I ever had my weapon out in England. My soldiers did, but I was out there making sure that they had food and making sure that they had a good place to sleep and made sure their leave. I mean, that's what a first sergeant does in a deployment like that. I mean, you're in charge of leave and passes and duty roster and different things like that. I doubt if he even took his damn rifle out in Italy.
Thomas, you lost men, I believe, when you were deployed.
Yes, we did.
And how devastating of a loss was each life deployed without having to, play around with the language here?
Well, it is something that is with a person every single day to this day, and will be with us, with all of us in that unit until the day we die.
Thomas, the campaign put out a statement saying that after 24 years of military service, Governor Walz retired in 2005 and ran for Congress, where he chaired the Veteran Affairs and was a tireless advocate for our men and women in uniform. And as Vice President of the U.S., he will continue to be a relentless champion for our veterans and military families. He has not addressed this charge of stolen valor. Do you think the men and women who deployed when he decided not to, and did not embellish or casually kind of misstate or misrepresent his record, do they deserve a response to these charges?
I would say, from what I get from the soldiers that I went to Iraq with, probably 98% of them are, completely against him embellishing his record. It was, yeah, he was in for 24 years and he quit. Well, okay, so that's what you did. But don't try to make it look like you were a command sergeant major. Don't try to make it look like you were going to some place that was in support of Operation Enduring Freedom. I mean, granted, that's just all embellishment and lies to try to make things look better.
Well, Tom,
there's a few out there that still back. Yeah, he could retire. He had 20 years in. I mean,
he served. There's no doubt about it. He served, but there's no need to embellish your record or leave out key details.
Right, and Tom, you can serve 24 mediocre years and be in a frumpy uniform and do your 24 years, but that's not turning you into a super soldier that did what he thinks that makes it look like he did.
Well, as Tom, all I know is that every command sergeant major I've ever had the privilege of meeting, the coolest, highest-ranking enlisted officer. Am I getting that right? In the Army, am I getting that right? And they just get it done.
You're humbling me by saying that, but that is the point, and that's the point that he knows that, and that's why he wants to use that title as his campaign, rank, because that, people look, like you said right there, people know that in the movies and everything. I mean, if you're the CSM, you're the guy that, get the hell off the grass, and and you're right-hand man with the colonel doing his thing. I mean, it's really it's an unbelievable rank. You can do so much for your soldiers and so much for your country at that rank. It's just unbelievable. And for somebody to step down at that position and then claim they still were that's just absolutely terrible.
That's appalling. Tom, thank you so much for your service to the country and all those who served with you and those who did not return and their families tonight. Thank you so much.
So now that you guys all seen all that, it makes you just kind of like, wow. And not only that, I'm going to do a video later on to show you guys how much of a socialist this man is and how he just did not care about his city being destroyed when the summer of love went around, when things were being burned in neighborhoods and all that, and he refused to want the National Guard to come there. This guy literally said out of his mouth that he wants there to be socialism. Plain and simple, folks. Which will lead to communism, which will lead to destruction. Show me any society where socialism has worked. I'll wait. Well, it worked for, for example, if you are an evil person, and you want to pretty much be like dominance and rule the people, not just in a dictator style, but just completely rule them and keep them oppressed, all people, not just black, but all people, then in this case, it would work for the socialists. But as far as the people, absolutely not. Anyway, the focus of this whole deal was supposed to be about this man and his, his prestige military record that he has and all this. And it seemed like it's backfiring on him. Wonder what this is going to do for anybody that they're going to be going to these different states, having their campaign. Do you guys think that they're going to have the military support? For those men and women out there, I treat a lot of people that are in military, didn't know TRICARE. And a lot of these people have gone through some crazy things. In fact, one of my patients, this is some years back when I was going through clinicals and everything, where one of my patients, I think this had to be around Mount Zion area in Illinois. This guy was a patient of mine, and he got to meet President, at the time it was President Bush. And even though he lost a leg, he tried to stand up for him and everything, So a lot of these people put their lives out there on the line and become real heroes in our book. But one of the things you think that would be embarrassing for somebody to do is try to fake like you was just this, and you had your camaradas, your boys, your men, your fellas, your team, your group, your ace coon booms with you, call out your bull crap, which to me, in my opinion, is like an insult. Anyway, let me know what y'all think of this by putting in the comments below after this video. I am Ty Smith, Modern Renaissance Man, hoping and praying that every last one of you have food, shelter, and clothing, and most of all, I pray every last one of you guys are in great health, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. God bless you all through Jesus.